phare du salon, technologie et luxe. La séquence sera intitulée Code de la désirabilité, la technologie façonne dans l'avenir du luxe. Nous aurons le plaisir d'avoir l'avis et les propos de Cristiano Agostini, qui est CEO de Prada. Mais avant cela, pour lancer l'introduction de la séquence, je vous demande d'accueillir sur scène Amal Benichou, Global Luxury Lead and Managing Director, pour Accenture. Merci pour elle.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we are navigating a new era for luxury. After 15 years of heady double-digit growth, the industry is facing uncertainty, but not only. So what's changed? Yes, macroeconomic pressure, persistent inflation, disrupted supply chain, a structural shift in China have played a role. But not only. Our global survey and global research stated that there is more at play on customer, on desirability dimensions. So desirability in luxury is playing a fundamental role, and historically, 3 dimensions have been defining luxury in the past: exclusivity, quality and craftsmanship, but also heritage. Those dimensions remain foundational for luxury. Those 3 dimensions are the foundations of desirability, but not always enough to resonate with the customer. Our survey and global research stated that 83% of luxury executives agree that customers are changing faster than how brands can transform themselves. So we had a look to other dimensions of desirability. And we came with a clear link and correlation between desirability and operational excellence. Luxury leaders who are able to balance and invest on desirability dimensions that matter, while keeping operational excellence as a key strategic lever to bring agility to their whole value chain, are still growing, are able to resonate with their customer, and are putting the customer at the heart of the resonance of desirability. So, innovation and technology are certainly in the conversion of this topic. So desirability, operational excellence are 2 sides of the same coin, and technology is at the heart. So today, this is exactly what we will be exploring. We will be decoding desirability and how technology is playing a crucial role in this industry for the coming decade. And to do this, I'm very pleased to welcome a tech leader, an inspiring and visionary CIO. So please welcome on stage Cristiano Agostini, Prada Chief Information Officer.
I have mine.
Ciao, Cristiano.
Ciao.
Thank you for joining me and joining us in Tech for Retail in Paris.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, so Cristiano, probably my first question will be from your perspective, what's the role of technology in luxury? And from your seat, have you observed a shift in the past 12, 18 months within Prada Group?
Okay, but I don't believe 12 months is enough, but indeed I saw in the past a shift. I believe also in the luxury we can say that now technology is perceived as a strategic lever, not anymore a commodity. It's a strategic lever that you can use to increase your top line, new channel, new interaction, new way of doing campaign, a new way of providing information to your sales assistant on one side. And on the other side, I believe is a strategic lever also for a dimension that typically is not so relevant in the luxury, because as my boss used to say, we are a top line business. Now I believe we start being also a bottom line business. So I believe technology could help, could be a strategic lever in order to increase efficiency, productivity, and be prepared for the wave that is coming or the wave that is just here. So we know and we see that the market is changing for the technology. I believe this change is also reflected in how we are consistently arriving to 3%, and there is prediction that is going to come to 5%. That is a huge amount of money compared to before. Then artificial intelligence is helping. If we go back with the mind to a period that I believe now everyone is perceiving as a long past, that is the COVID time. We come out with the COVID, from the COVID, with the belief that the world is going to be remote, the world is going to be e-commerce only. It was Zoom time, no? Let me call it like this. Now we know it's not like this. Now we know the world is different. Now we are back to the retail. The important thing is that now we are also, as an industry or as a people of this industry, we are conscious of the fact that technology is part of our retail experience, is part of our ways of working, and in this case we need to start thinking and use it as really as a levers. For example, we are back to the old school retail. Let me call it. It's not true, but we were one of the first group to build our own retail store, and also the epicenter, that was a space where you can buy products, but you can also feel the art and so on. Now we want to put infuse digital in this retail space with a big point in mind, that is we want to have and keep the human touch as a priority one in interaction with our consumer. But we also know that what is relevant is invisible to the eyes. It's a French or Belgium writer, the one that said this sentence, and that's how we perceive technology now. So technology in the interaction with the consumer is relevant, but should be invisible to the eye. So should help the sales ceremony, the retail, and everything else.
Yeah. Thank you, Cristiano. And this is probably resonating on, when we talk about capturing the voice of the customer, while keeping the luxury industry a tastemaker, a prescriptor. It's really about infusing it finally through the whole value chain. And through the example that you mentioned, we are seeing this shift and this reinvention in the industry, so from supply chain, distribution, until retail, online. And this is finally, technology is a kind of a great enabler to make it more human and to make the emotional connection, which is also one of the desirability dimensions. And what came to my mind is that when we did our global survey and research, so Prada Group was among the leaders, the 20% of luxury brands that are still growing because they are balancing desirability and what matter on desirability dimension and operational excellence. And I believe that one of the key success factors to have this balance is also to have foundations, to build on those foundations in order to deliver more agility, more speed, and to become like the enabler for the whole value chain. So what can you tell us about those foundations? So what were you able to build on as a group on all what is shared backbones, but also on the brand side?
So before jumping to artificial intelligence, that is always the topic of the day, the weeks, and so on, let me go back to the, let me say, to the foundation. So I believe there is three pillars on which we are working. The first one is the data. Data is the basement for everything. We start collecting information. We start creating our data lake. We start using algorithm on top of that, mainly on 3 dimensions. One dimension is the consumer, one dimension is the distribution, the other dimension is the product. Because we always work having in mind the products that we are selling. All this information is something that we are using now with algorithms and all the rest to improve the experience, to use artificial intelligence and the rest to clusterize our consumer, to change the way in which we serve the consumer, to personalize the message, and to try to go behind the price dynamics that I believe is over, and so moving to a more personalized experience to the consumer. And the basement of everything is obviously the data. The second pillar of our, let me say, basement is for sure the ERP backbone. I believe now on the market there is a back to fundamental situation where company and us are in the middle of this journey, are rethinking all the back office operation, are rethinking in the way in which supply chain, in which finance, in which HR, in which all procurement is working, because this is generating fast, this is helping us in being more agile, more nimble, and in particular in gain efficiency. As I was saying before, we used to be a top-line business. We always think to sell one product more to cover all inefficiency. Now, price dynamic is over. Enlargement of the consumer base start being over. So we need, and we are obsessed also to think to the efficiency. And the only way in which that we have to be more efficient is working on corporate, so working on ERP backbone, working on supply chain tool, working on what we used to see as a legacy technology that is back in our mind, because we believe this technology is changing the way in which we work, but we believe also that the use of artificial intelligence can change the way in which this basement is used to be. And the third one, the third pillar that we believe is quite strong and relevant is planning. We used to be an industry where we always tell us, it's difficult to plan, the seasons are too short, the new products are too new. I know it's a challenge. I know I can say everyone is predicting everything, but I cannot say, because, let me say, we are still working on that. But for sure, the ability to being able to predict in the proper way the right product on the right distribution channel in the right moment is something that is going to change. I have a challenge, so Andrea Guerra, the Chief Executive Officer, gave me a challenge. He asked me to being able to predict after 2 to 3 weeks if a product is going to be a blockbuster or not, or a failure. I'm not there, and in any case, if I'm there, I will not tell you. But for sure, that's a challenge, because I believe the industry need to be more able to predict, going away from the excuse of, no, we are fast, prediction is always possible, could not be perfect, but the ability of predict where you go is mandatory in a moment in which there is less growth and more uncertainty. These are the 3 fundamental pillars that I believe is the basement on which we are building all the rest. So consumer interaction with consumer data, ERP backbone, and planning.
Very clear, and this is resonating so much on what, those are clearly also the hot topics for all the brands that have not taken this I would say, advance on tackling those topics. And my question is probably on your first pillar, can you illustrate a bit around personalization? Because, well,
Okay.
a group such Prada is a very interesting case because we can see that you are leveraging, a broader spectrum of consumers, probably VACs, but also aspirational customers. I'm always thinking about Miu Miu booming, so a startup in the group, so which is probably requiring some freedom within the framework. So what can you tell us more about, how you are reflecting on your first pillar about interaction and customer interaction personalization?
Okay, I believe that was a challenge that we had. We always being able, and you stress the point, to say if a consumer is a VIC because he's spending a lot of money to us, but we never know if this consumer is a consumer that have a big spending capacity but is spending this money somewhere else. No? Why? Or there is interaction, our sales assistant is knowing perfectly all the people that is coming in the store. But if there is a new one that is coming in the store that is a potential VIC. So the challenge that we start working on is exactly being able to collect as much information as we can and clusterize our consumer not only through the value that they are spending, but also through their behavior in order to being able to serve them best and identify any potential aspiring or potential VIC or any customer that we have an high potential but we left behind. To do this, obviously, we need to increase the demographic aspect of our data collection. We need to increase the behavioral aspect of data collection. We need to start creating algorithm. We need a little bit more sophisticated and complex in order to being able to understand the new cluster, and first, and second, being able to target all the information accordingly. So the right products, the right images, the right campaign. For the retail, and that's extremely relevant, we want, and that's a point that I always stress because for us is extremely relevant, we still believe that the human touch is mandatory, so we never deliver on the retail the information to directly to the customer, but we always deliver this information through clienteling app to our sales assistant. They still remain the pillar of our human-to-human relationship.
And well, this is moving us to the third act of our conversation, because we cannot talk about Gen AI and AI, right? And well, clienteling is probably one of the areas, but there are among others. So how Prada is, and as a group, is addressing and is going through all what, well, I will not say only the hype, but on AI and Gen AI, both in front and back. Can you give us some examples, use cases that you are testing and experimenting?
Yes, yes, we can. Can you hear me? Yes, yes, I can. Let me start with one point. I believe artificial intelligence was here a lot of years ago. It's called in another way, but was still here. Then we have generative, then we have agentic. So I believe artificial intelligence is here to stay. Could be the next platform, so could be the next game changer like internet at the time. The real challenge is when. So how long does it take to go there? If you remember the internet economy, the dot-com bubble, at the end it takes 10 years to arrive at stake. Now it's front of us. Now that was the economy. Now the big challenge is how we are able to take this technology and how long does it take to take this technology and bring it in our process. The challenge is not the technology now, I believe. The challenge is the ability that we need to have to bring this technology and put in our processes, to rethink another time the way in which we work and the way in which we can maximize the use of this artificial intelligence. I believe now we are, but not I believe, I read an MIT research that say that probably on less than 5% of any initiative on artificial intelligence is really able to scale up. I believe we are here, but we cannot left it behind. So we are start working on with a two-level vision. One eye is looking to the strategic, the other one is looking to the tactical. So I'm used to call it, but I don't know how to say in English, vista strabica, but I don't care. The point is probably that on the tactical side, we are working on using agentic artificial intelligence on making easier all the digital production, so information, content, writing, and all the rest. We are working also on reducing our content production factory. We are working on any repetitive task that could be used that could be simplified through to artificial intelligence. On the let me say on the bottom line, we are start working on understanding how we could embed artificial intelligence in our processes. So we want to start from what we call Ask HR, so using artificial intelligence to improve the relationship with the employee on one side. On the other side, we want to somehow start working on simplifying some finance processes. The strategic view is the far more complex. Yeah. So understanding where we really can go is the one where, let me say, we are doing piloting, we are trying to understand. I believe we are not there, but I see several areas where we want to invest. The first one is how the artificial intelligence and the agentic interaction could change the way in which the consumer is buying. So is the agentic commerce, how is going to be the interface of my e-commerce of tomorrow with the agentic? Is really I write a question and this give me an answer, or is this really changing the way in which I do PLP and PDP, product page and listing page? I believe we need to start rethinking the way in which the consumer is interacting with us in the digital channel. I've not the answer, and in any case, also if I have the answer, I will never share it with you, and that's for sure the first big question. The second big question is how I need to change my processes, really change my processes, my semantic knowledge, my ontology, everything, to being able to take a repetitive task out of the normal interaction. So can I one day arrive to have the touchless closure? So can I close having my finance closure without just having a guy that say, close please, and answering to the question? I don't know. I think it's a long journey that pass from data, that pass from agentic and so on, and that require a huge rethinking of the processes. So a changing in the company. There is the third topics that we use, typically we don't want to touch, and I will just quote, is the creativity. So how the artificial intelligence is going to change the creativity? So far, our position is obviously is making fast the decision process, but I leave to you any thinking to how artificial intelligence could change the creativity side.
Yeah, we are usually talking about the augmented designer or the augmented artisan in French as well. I really like how you describe the two approaches. So there is probably a tactical one that started, by the way, by experimenting and identifying the most relevant use cases. But back to the MIT study, and what we are finding out is that to be able to unleash really the power of Gen AI, exactly how you describe it, Cristiano, is really a matter of, breaking silos to be able to rethink the processes end to end. And it's not really about, starting with the ASIS and trying to push Gen AI use cases is what we call the right to left approach. And the second one, so this is the strategic part, because this is the only way where the results and where agentic can deliver results, because actually you are also rethinking the workforce of tomorrow. You are also rethinking how people and what are the jobs and the skills that you will be able to either to recruit or to retain within the organization and to reskill them. And back to the commerce. So we will think about it. We don't have the answer either. And but I found it very interesting topic because, well, personally, I believe that on the e-commerce, on the internet era, luxury has not been able to push the differentiation at, the top limits. So maybe there is a way to rethink about digital channel different way, so which we don't know today. It's not only about having, as you said, a website with a checkout and an agent that can talk to you, 24/7.
It's true. If you think how deep was, so let me comment on this, and then I go back on my challenge on the back of house. Today, the only real change on the internet world or in the interaction is the search engine. Now, we all know that the search engine have been hugely impacted by the artificial intelligence. I believe that this impact is going to come also on how we transact, how we collect information, and all the rest. I still don't know, because that's a challenge on which we are working with our digital team that is in marketing world, or with our marketing team. But for sure, I believe the interaction is going to be another one. It's going to be different because, yes, you can ask to an agent to do something, but maybe I can completely take out any interaction and just go and ask, because you can also consider that on e-commerce, some it depends on which are your positioning, but some of the interaction a lot of the interaction come directly on your product page from the search engine. So my point is, and tomorrow I'm not going to have any more a search engine. So is my e-commerce to be embedded in the search engine? I don't know. So really, I believe it's going to be a step by step. I believe, and then also there is all the transactional part that we forgot. You mentioned the checkout. The checkout is another big challenge. How I can change my checkout in order to be agent compliant? I don't know. So that's the challenge that I have. On the on the strategic point of view, on the back of house, let me say, the two challenges that I have is the first one is the data. So if you go in a meeting and you say, and you have supply chain, IT, procurement, and you say order, you have 3, 4, 5 different interpretations of an order, of a contract, or whatever. So imagine if tomorrow you have hundreds of agents that is doing stuff on an order, but no one knowing what an order is. So the point is creating what I call an ontology, a knowledge base, a basement of a common knowledge on top of which you can automatize your enterprise, and that's for sure one of the challenges that I have. And the second one on the strategic view, and the second one is how I need to change my processes. Again, is the recruiting going to be the same? Is the finance closure is going to be the same? Is how I register an accounting is going to be the same? And if you really want to go in the direction of using artificial intelligence, you need to change the technology behind, but you also need to change the process on top. That's probably the two challenges. But let me say, I believe this is the question that we want to have and the pilot that we want to do for the long term. For the short term, we are going with the agentic and the several tests, Ask HR, and so on.
Thank you. So actually, my next question was, okay, what's next? So you answered already to a part of the question. And when, listening to you, Cristiano, since the beginning, IT is not anymore a support function within the enterprise, given the role that it takes on, enabling many topics, many business priorities with very clear and identified tech enablers. Is this something that you see within your organization as a change, the interaction with business, how technology and how you as a group CIO is really embedded on, again, reflecting business priorities through tech enablers?
Yes, and let me say I'm happy in the sense that no, I'm lucky, more than happy. I'm lucky because the new generation of the company owner, so Lorenzo Bertelli, is pushing a lot of the use of technology. So he's the main sponsor of our transformation journey, and so that's for sure one of the elements that we discuss more. I time to time say if it's not on the system, it's not existing, but a little bit too strong. But let me say yes, I believe and I feel this shift from a moment in which technology was the boring stuff of that guy, with the big glasses, that time to time come here and say something, to a stuff where people start thinking. So you have digital, you have marketing, you have HR, you have finance. All these functions start asking to you what they can do with, and maybe even proactively. So even proactively they say, can we do this? Can we do this? So I feel this change. Let me say, but I believe this is a very, in luxury, this is come after. If you think to automotive, where, I mean, we know one of our competitors have an automotive heritage now, but CEO, but if you think to automotive, they had this journey in the past. They moved from being, the software and all the rest, moved from being a commodity, now is part of the service, is part of the car. Even the car maker declare that they are late with the roadmap of the car production due to software, so that's, I believe, the first time. I think that after COVID, luxury start embracing this way of thinking. I think the difficult moment of the sector is also pushing more the concept of efficiency and top line, and so is giving to this industry all the levers to think outside of the product. So we are an industry where the products was the core, still the core, creativity is important, but now I believe it's time also to think to other levers that are around, and technology is for sure one of that.
Yeah, and probably interesting to see that luxury is more open to look at what other industries are doing, and because some of them, you mentioned the automotive industry, probably in manufacturing and production through efficiency, but other industries, so consumer goods is probably also another industry that is more listening to the consumer or embedding, the voice of the customer in, well, because we are all consumers of this of consumer goods. So so as a conclusion, so thank you, Cristiano, again for the transparent discussion and conversation. So what would you give as a tip or a conclusion to someone that is today trying to project how technology in luxury will play a role?
Okay, I think I strongly believe the starting point, the starting point of our discussion. So technology need to be strategic levers, but my point is sometimes is the people that is doing technology that is not ready to be a strategic lever. So I believe, and that's a point, I believe that there should be a change, not only in the way in which the business is perceiving technology, but also in the way in which the people that is doing technology is pushing technology in the business, talking about benefit, talking about opportunity, talking about, and not only talking about server. No? Yeah. So I believe it's a journey. I believe we are there, and the workforce need to change. That's all.
Thank you so much, Cristiano. So to conclude, we mentioned the code of desirability. So technology is probably decoding a part of desirability dimensions. Creativity and product are still the foundations, but there are many levers that technology can enable. Customer experience and voice of the customer is one of them. And I really appreciate the last topic around culture, and so everyone in the enterprise needs to have a technology caution, but it's also about understanding what are the business priorities and where the company and the brands is looking to the future. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.